Hey, what's up? This is Brandon Simmons for BrandonSimmons.biz. This is my weekly video blog called Bullheaded, a review of the Houston Texans news, as well as a preview of their upcoming game matchups. So, we finally made it to the game of the year. The Houston Texans hosting the Cleveland Browns, and it's not just the Cleveland Browns, it's the Cleveland Browns and Deshaun Watson. And that same Deshaun Watson that used to be the Texans franchise quarterback. So I'm gonna get into all of that, my thoughts, the bittersweet moment of all this and everything. First, let me do my quick little game recap from Week 12, and it's gonna be super quick because that game was forgettable at best. Um, once again, Texans came out there, played lackluster, got down 30-0 to the Miami Dolphins, and this was supposed to be the game where uh, excuse me. This is supposed to be the game where Kyle Allen made his uh first start of the year in place of Davis Mills. And you would think there would be some change with the offense, and it just really wasn't. You know what I'm saying? It just seemed like it was the same result. Allen was making the same mistakes as Mills or whatever. And so there was it just didn't seem like, anything was different or there was any spark in on either side of the ball. So it is what it is. I haven't seen anything where they're going back to Mills. So it seems for right now, it seems like Allen will be starting again this Sunday, which should be pretty interesting. So probably the biggest story around that game isn't so much what happened in that game. It's pretty much everything that kind of spilled out after that game. It seems like every Texans fan that I talked to has some sort of mental breakdown, and we probably had them a couple times this year, but it seems like it was the fan base collectively just put this team on blast, and it was crazy to see. Um, and for me personally, um, I've kind of like accepted that things are going to get a little bit tough. I just felt like, the way that we've been playing, like most of the games this season, just coming in, just, lapsadaisical starts, um, just bad finishes and just not able to capitalize on opportunities um, when they're there to win the game. I figure like, okay, if we're doing this now, then things are probably going to be a little bit rough. And for what it's worth, I have I haven't tripped too hard because I know that we have what I'm saying we're in a position to get what I'm saying the number one draft pick that we desperately need. So if they play a little bad now, and it means that we can still stay at that spot, that number one draft pick spot down the line, then yeah, it's I guess it's something that you got to trade in for. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, the other alternative to that is if they do win like a couple of more games or whatever, and what I'm saying, and the season just turns out bad, and they're in competition with the number one draft pick. Then fans are going to be mad. It's like, oh, why are they playing like this? Why are they losing? So I might as well just save myself the misery and be like, look, they play bad. We can keep the number one pick that we know that we need or whatever, and just like make our moves around that. So, but yeah, pretty much the fans have they've all gone crazy. And part of them going crazy is them putting everybody's future on the line right now. And it's hard to say that excuse me. It's hard to say that they shouldn't be questioning like the people that are in like leadership positions or in man or what I'm saying in the roles that they are at this present time. You know what I'm saying? So coaching. Obviously, Pep Hamilton has been. I think people been wanting him gone since maybe week 3 or 4. You know what I'm saying? I think it's they're just a little bit more vocal about it. Um, as far as Lovey Smith and Nick Casario, Lovey Smith, he's been popping up in like they've been kind of wanting him to get out of here as well over the last couple weeks or so. But Casario, it's this was this is kind of a new one to me. them trying to them bringing up him getting him packing his bags and leaving. And it's crazy because it's like they showed the stat during the game Sunday about how many general managers we've had since like 2017, and that's a wild stat. I think it was like four, and that's a wild stat to have during that amount of time. Because if you think about it, your general manager is there to like kind of build a team up. You know what I'm saying? And he might need to be there for a couple years, but for whatever reason, we just been running through general managers like it's nobody business. That includes Brian Gaines. That also includes, Bill O'Brien and his unfortunate stint that he had as our general manager at the time. Um, so yeah, definitely, it's you know, it would be shocking if they let Nick Casario go at the end of the season, considering the history of what they just showed, and you know what I'm saying. But and also like he's just been this is like his second year on the job, so but yeah, I'll get in Lovie Smith and Nick Casario in a few. But the one thing that really stood out to me, as far as the one thing that really stood out to me, um, as far as like everybody, all the fans' reactions, is the draft, the potential of not one questioning whether or not the number one draft pick should come to the city. And so right now, it's as it stands, all signs point to Houston getting the number one pick, getting a quarterback, and that quarterback being Bryce Young. So a lot of people are questioning like, should Bryce Young even, what I'm saying, should he come here? If not Bryce Young, maybe CJ Stroud or somebody like that. And now fans are questioning like whether or not they should, whoever they choose at that position, should they even come to Houston? And to me, it's not a unusual thing. It just doesn't happen that often. Last time, a situation similar to that actually happened, was when Eli Manning was drafted, and he was about to go to the Chargers, but you know, apparently him and his family, what I'm saying, they really wasn't with that. They was like, let's see if we can go to somewhere else. And so I don't know if New York was I can't remember if New York was on the list or not. But New York made that trade, and what I'm saying, the rest is history, for Eli Manning. Um, Probably the earliest example before that, was John Elway when he was about to get drafted, by the Indianapolis Colts at the time. And the story is, he was like, he really wasn't trying to go to the Colts. He was gonna, instead of going to the Colts, he was gonna play baseball. You know what I'm saying? And so, I think maybe the Broncos made a trade or they stepped in or whatever, and so the rest is history. You know what I'm saying, with John Elway. So, um, I I don't. It's gonna be crazy, to see that happen. And the thing about it is, if it does happen, player, it's such a different time as far as like the players having leverage, even as draft picks. You know what I'm saying? Just having that leverage of where they want to go and what they want to do. So it's it's gonna be accepted, but it's still, and but it's, I don't want to say it's gonna be shocking. It's gonna look embarrassing, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be more embarrassing than shocking. It should that happen, but I don't think that's going to happen. So, um, now on to Lovie Smith's firing speculation. Look, um, my criticism, a lot of my criticisms about the Texans. My main criticism about the Texans is that they just come out and they just have not played hard, when they started these games. They just haven't. You know what I'm saying? I think maybe the Colts game in the season opener, they really gave their best effort at the beginning, but in the second half, it was like they didn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? And every game after that, it seems like they just started out flat. You know what I'm saying? No effort, no energy, nothing like that. And so to me, I feel like, what I'm saying, you're the head coach. You're supposed to get these guys going, going into this game, and that's not happening right now. So yeah, you're gonna be put under a microscope, you know. So you need to figure out a way to, get that done. Whether you're defensive coach, offensive coach, whoever, you're in charge of all 50 something guys that's on that roster. You know what I'm saying? You have to make sure that, when they step on that field, they're ready to go. You know what I'm saying? From the start of the first whistle, from the kickoff, all the way to the final whistle. You have to make sure that they're in the mindset to go out there and compete because they're professionals, So make sure that, they're actually doing their job to their highest level. And that's not happening with the Texans right now. Yeah, you can pick out players like, oh, so and so's doing this, so and so's blocking in this, and so and so's catching this, but they're not all doing it, and that's the problem. So, yeah, it's Lovey Smith is definitely going to be under the microscope, and is as deep as a resume as he's had. Nobody's what I'm saying, safe from that. You just got to go out there, do your job as a coach to make sure they're doing their jobs as players. Um, as far as the criticism surrounding Nick Casario, that's look. I think I still I get it. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like he's had a hand in putting all this together. And so I get why people are, what I'm saying, they're chirping at him, they're, chipping at, what he's doing so far. But at the same time, I'm not trying to fire a general manager in his second season, especially when I know that there's a real piece missing, and that's the quarterback position. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna do that. We need to see this through. His first year with the draft picks, you kind of have to shoot him some bail. Um, he picked Davis Mills with our first pick in that draft in 2021. And with that, I kind of see him like I could kind of see why he did that, but it probably wasn't the best. Looking back on it, it probably wasn't the best move to do at the time. So I think, yeah, there are criticisms of fair, but I don't think he should be fired, especially after this past draft. You know what I'm saying? Like now he's had, he like with a year under his belt, seeing like what's all available, what's all on that roster, and then him going out and just like trying to actually fix it, whether through free agency or whether through this draft, a draft which was highly graded by a lot of analysts or whatever. So he I think, and not just that, you kind of see some of those rookies from this past draft that are actually going out there from day one and actually making an impact. Derek Stingley, you know, Jared Jalen Petrie, you know what I'm saying? Kenyon Green, he's had his ups and downs, but you know what I'm saying, he's still, he's learning. You know what I'm saying? He's a rookie. Uh, Obviously Damian Pierce has been the best pick out of this entire draft class. So I think it's going to take some time. It's going to be some hits and some misses, but I don't think those hits and misses should warrant his job safety. Um, we just gotta see this through straight up. So that's my opinion on just what the fan, just kind of like what the fans have, yeah, just kind of what the fans have been just going off about. You know what I'm saying? Um, I think it's no lie, it's gonna get tougher. Like we just need to just see the season through, you know what I'm saying, and hopefully, you know, everybody will just take a look at they'll front office will take a look at this and be like, this is what we gotta fix, this is what we gotta get rid of, this is what we gotta keep. Simple as that. That's all we can do at this point. And not blow the number one pick. That's that's all we can do. Um so I want to get my thoughts on Deshaun Watson coming back. And look, man, it has been a long time coming for this. And they're in the he's in the same conference as us. So it's a possibility this might not be the last game that we see Deshaun Watson, or that this might not be the last game that Deshaun Watson faces the Texans. in a Cleveland Browns uniform or anything like that. And they've had a down year. We've obviously had a down year, so it's possible we might see them next year. But yeah, but for Deshaun Watson, he's coming back to Houston, facing the team that drafted him in 2017. Um, Watson wanted to leave in 2021. You know what I'm saying, due to some disagreements with the management. He didn't like how things were going in, what direction the things were going in. And so he felt like, I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? I gotta, I gotta do what I gotta do for my career, which is fair. So, at the same time that he did that, then came the allegations about sexual misconduct, with the massage therapist and everything. And you know what I'm saying? It at first when that first came out, it was like, oh, the Texans are, that's setting him up and trying to ruin his career and blah 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 blah. And look, I'm not even gonna revisit that theory. I have my own opinions on that I'll probably offer to you if I meet you or whatever. But um just to what I'm saying, but I just stick with the basic facts. The cases they ran up to um about 24. I think the last number I checked on was like 26, and I think he might have settled them all. There might be a couple more. I think there might be one more that's still out there. I haven't checked yet, but yeah. So through all those allegations came about after he announced he was going to leave the team. That went on for about like a year up until last March, this past March actually, when two of the cases I think were going up for to a grand jury to kind of see if this would go to trial. They decided no trial. So soon after they decided that no trial, they traded him. you know, Watson was traded to the Cleveland Browns. Um, and not only was he traded to the Cleveland Browns, but he got a fat $250 million fully guaranteed contract. Might have been 230 million, but it was more than what we gave him at the time. So he got that contract fully guaranteed, and then came the 11-game suspension. So he served a suspension, and now his first game back will be against us. There hasn't been no, oh, we're gonna just rest them and all this other stuff. No, it's full steam ahead. They're gonna play. They're gonna Deshaun Watson will make his first start against the Houston Texans in the city of Houston, and it's about as messy as you can imagine it will be. Like for real. So I mean, one of the antics that's already been going on. Apparently, Tony Busby, the lawyer that's representing all the massage therapists that filed the civil suits, apparently him and 10 of the accusers are going to show up to the game, like in a box suite or whatever. And so that's just that's just probably like the only antics that have really that have really gone on of that being reported. And so um I've seen reports. I haven't heard if it was like true or not, or if they're actually what I'm saying, going to follow through with that. It things could happen between here and now. So um but yeah, it's a game where it's just one of those. It's one of those games because we've seen players go back to their stadiums where they were drafted at. You know what I'm saying? And it's always a certain level of things. Sometimes they get cheered for. Uh, Sometimes they get booed. You know what I'm saying? Like we seen Tom Brady go back to New England. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. And they kind of had their mixed reactions to it. But this is definitely not Tom Brady going back to New England. This ended the Deshaun Watson and Houston Texans partnership ended messy. Simple as that. And it ended messy, and I just gotta say, this is probably like just bad timing right now for this franchise. As simple as that. Like you think about everything that is going on. Think about how Watson left and some of the things he stood on, or reportedly stood on. You know, he wanted to, choose the head coach, and they didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? They obviously went a whole other direction uh, with David Culley. Now, what what the, were they supposed to go out and get Eric Bieniemy? Um, who knows? A lot of teams are supposed to get Eric Bieniemy, and that just ain't panning out. That's a whole other story. But it might not have been Eric Bieniemy. It might have been, some other coach or whatever. But he we stood standing on that. They didn't let him, choose the coach, or you know, pick the GM or whatever. You know what I'm saying? They didn't give him like some of the control that he felt he wanted. And, you know, you looking, I mean, could you blame him? Like, I mean, look, be for real. Like, this franchise has had a bad history of quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson was like the quarterback that, we finally got right. You know what I'm saying? And so I figure like there's nothing wrong with him choosing the coach, letting him choose the coach or whatever. Like I'm pretty sure he could have picked a way better coach than David Culley. Because I'm pretty sure if he wanted a David Culley type of coach, he would have been staying. We wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. But they didn't. That was probably one of the things that they didn't let him do. And look at us now. We've gotten rid of David Culley, and we're on the verge of getting rid of Lovey Smith. You know what I'm saying? So it's just bad timing for that to actually. It's just bad timing for him to kind of come in, and it's just bad timing for this franchise to face that guy who left this team for particular reasons, and we're suffering through those particular reasons. So it's going to be interesting. Anyway, uh, um, so I don't really have the game. The game plan. Usually, I do my game plan, but the game plan for this game is going to be crazy because there's no. This is one of those games where you can't really draw the X's and O's for it. Like knowing like a lot of these guys, they've probably they there's some of these guys on here that played with Watson before. You know what I'm saying? Like they probably got bonds or whatever. And so this city, like they really loved Watson. When he said he was going to leave, people were like, good luck, and not good luck in a like sarcastic way, but good luck because you deserve it type of way. You know what I'm saying? Because they recognize how special of a player he was, and you know what I'm saying. By all accounts, he probably still is. Regardless of him, taking this much time off from football. And yeah, I think the cases probably deter people from that. But at the same time, I think that they haven't deterred them a lot from that. Like people still, they still rock with Deshaun Watson down here. Or down there or whatever. I'm in New Braunfels. Anyway. But I think people still rock with Deshaun Watson to an extent. You know what I'm saying? And that's out. And you know what I'm saying? That's just him being a dynamic player. Unfortunately, that's what it people like kind of just stick on instead of like, personal business or whatever like that. Um, so yeah. But the couple things that I just want to see in this game for the Texans, their pride has to come into play on both sides of the ball. Do not make this and I told you so game. So, like I just mentioned about just being bad timing for the franchise, with Deshaun Watson coming in here, and it's a season debut. He hasn't had no real success with the Cleveland Browns yet. This is his first year with the team, and the only thing he's been able to do is like just secure a big bag from him. So, what I think needs to happen is that they need to, yeah, excuse me, yeah, Texans just have to let their pride come into play. They this cannot be a "not told you so" game by Deshaun Watson. He can't come in here and ball out his first start of the season and have the whole world look at us like, oh, maybe maybe he was right about some things. You know what I'm saying? Like, things have been bad enough, but the Texans cannot let that happen. Second thing, they got to feed off the crowd energy. This crowd is going to be nothing less than rambunctious. If you have the lawyer talking about he's going to bring 10 of Deshaun Watson's accusers to a box suite, like, you know what I'm saying? That's just being petty. That's just adding extra, you know what I'm saying, fuel to, a fire. You know what I'm saying? Especially and as far as the owners go, should this be? I can't see why this wouldn't be true. As much garbage has been going on this season. Like, this is something that'll like really get the crowd into it. This will drive tickets. You know what I'm saying? So this will really get the crowd amped up. Get them that they're going to be nothing less than rambunctious in this game. It's going to be a hostile environment for sure, for sure. Um, but for the players, it's important not to let the crowd be more hyped than they are. You know what I'm saying? The players got to kind of dictate the energy. So you don't want you know what I'm saying? You don't want the crowd to be more anxious and agitated than what the players are. Because if things aren't going away, the crowd is they're gonna turn on they're gonna turn on the Texans straight up. So um, you know what I'm saying? The players have to dictate the energy. They have to come out there and they just really have to like put it all on the line, like from the gate. They have to just play outside themselves in this particular game and just dictate the energy to the crowd. So those are the only two things Texans got to do in this that I want to see them do. I want their pride to come into play, and I want them to dictate the crowd energy. So whew, that's a long episode, longer than what I wanted. But yo, man, I had to get that off my chest. I knew this was a big game. It's also my birthday weekend, so I'm delivering this to y'all a little bit early. So, with that being said, I'm Brandon Simmons for BrandonSimmons.biz. Holla black.